Hi everyone, welcome to my presentation. Today I'll be going over the research paper Gender Affects Body Language Reading by Sokolov and colleagues. Before I start my presentation, here's a little bit about myself. I'm Liliana. I'm a fourth year international student from Brazil. I know it doesn't seem like it, but I was born and raised there. I'm pursuing a specialist in psychology co-op, and my major interests include developmental psychology, psychopathology, motor cognition development, and clinical neuropsychology. As introduction, body motion is a rich source of information for social cognition, especially for nonverbal communication. This ability constitutes of a central component of social competence. Social competence consists of social, emotional, cognitive, and behavioral skills needed for successful social adaptation. It also reflects having an ability to take another's perspective concerning a situation. People can infer emotions and dispositions of others represented by point-like body movements that minimize availability of other cues. As you can see from the figure on the right, point-like body movements are used extensively in body movement research. It basically consists of light point attached to the body, which is used to represent biological movement. People can reliably judge emotion content of dance representations. Also, people can have the ability to discriminate between deceptive and true intentions conveyed by body motion. So, who do I trust? Who is attracted to me? Such judgments are vital to social interactions as men and women appear to show differences in cues they attend to. Females exhibit higher sensitivity to nonverbal cues. They're able to discriminate friendliness from sexual interest, and they're also proficient in recognition of facial emotions. Lastly, females tend to to better recognize emotions from faces than voices, while males exhibit the opposite effect. Gender impact on body language reading is largely unknown. Research on sex differences in visual social cognition has been mainly limited to static face still photographs. This study, according to Sokolov and colleagues, they claim that dynamic body expressions are a richer and more ecologically valid source. Also, face expressions are believed to be easily kept under control, while body movements reveal our true feelings. Therefore, we should explore body language instead of static face photographs. Another gap in the literature is that they claim that females are superior in body language. Studies in the 80s have used nonverbal sensitivity tests that includes body motion from neck to knees, where they have found that females are better in body language. However, there are several limitations. One of them is that it is based on body motion video clips of only one female actor. Therefore, it leads to the objective of the study, which is first, whether gender affects recognition of emotions are represented by body motions. Do females excel recognition of emotion actions? Second, they want to explore whether gender effects depend on emotional content of actions. For the methodology of the study, they have recruited 14 male participants with mean age 22.9 plus or minus 2.0 years, and they have also recruited 20 female participants with mean age 23.8 plus or minus 3.7 years. In total, there were 34 subjects. For the demographics of the study, all participants came from the University of Tübingen Medical School. Groups were comparable in education and socioeconomic status. For the criteria of this study, all participants had normal vision and heterosexual orientation. Also, there was no history of neurological or psychiatric disorders. For this study, they have used a point light display, which is a 3D position measurement system at a rate of 60 Hz. For each emotion, 6 different displays with equal numbers of knocking were performed by female and male actors. As a presentation software, they have used a video displayer, where each video was displayed 5 times per experimental session, resulting in 30 trials per emotion. The whole experimental session consisted of a set of 90 displays representing 3 emotions in a random order and took about 15 to 20 minutes per participant. Each display was shown for 1 second. Lastly, as a response recorder, they have used a 3 alternative force choice paradigm performed through computer display and keyboard keys. The position of the keys were counterbalanced between participants. Participants were told that they have to perform the task as accurately as possible, and there was no immediate feedback regarding performance. For the procedure of the study, first, female and male actors were recorded using the point light body display. Each display consisted of 6 point light dots placed on the head, shoulder, elbow, wrist, and the first and fourth metacarpal joints. As you can see from the top left figure, Figure 1 showcases 3 static frames taken from the dynamic sequence representing knocking motions by a set of dots placed on the arm joints, shoulder, and head of an otherwise invisible actor. Next, the participants were presented with the videos of the point light display, where male and female actors were knocking on the door, portraying angriness, neutral, or happiness. Third, each video was displayed 5 times per session, where there was a total of 30 trials per emotion, 6 displays per emotion, times 5 sessions. At the end, 3 alternative force choice paradigm was applied, where on each trial, participants indicated by pressing with their dominant hand one of 3 respective keys on a computer keyboard, whether a display portrayed happy, neutral, or angry knocking. For the results of this study, they have used a 2x3 repeated measures ANOVA as analysis with the following factors. First, for gender, they have used female and male, and emotional expression of knocking as either happy, neutral, or angry. Figure A shows accuracy percentage for males and females for the following emotional displays: happy, neutral, and angry. Both horizontal lines indicate chance level. Significant differences are indicated by an asterisk. As you can see from the figure, in both females and males, recognition of all emotional expressions was above chance level. However, recognition of happy knocking was less accurate than of neutral and angry actions. Next, males outperform in recognition of happy knocking, while females excel in recognition of neutral knocking and tended to overperform in recognition of angry knocking. The data therefore reveals the lack of advantage of females in recognition accuracy. Instead, the findings indicate that sex effects in recognition accuracy are modulated by emotional context of actions. For the figure B, it showcases the error rate for each display emotion on the bottom, on the x-axis, and what participants thought the emotion was on the top on the y-axis. For example, the leftmost bar represents an average ratio of number of trials when happy knocking was mistaken for neutral knocking to the number of trials when happy knocking was mistaken for neutral or angry knocking. As you can see from the figure, both females and males happy knocking was mistaken for neutral knocking in more than 80% of wrong responses. It can be concluded that gender differences in recognition accuracy of emotional content of knocking were not caused by gender-related bias for mistaking one emotion for another. For figure C, it showcases reaction time to happy, neutral, and angry point light knocking by females and males. As you can see, females and males do not differ in response time. As a summary of results, findings indicate that sex effects in recognition accuracy are modulated by emotional context of actions, as you can see for figure A. Also, females tend to excel in recognition accuracy of angry knocking, while males overperform in recognition of happy actions. In females, surpass males in recognition of emotionally neutral knocking. Next, from figure B, it can be concluded that gender differences in recognition accuracy of emotional content of knocking were not caused by gender-related bias for mistaking one emotion for another. Lastly, from figure C, gender affects accuracy rather than speed of body language reading, where recognition accuracy is not affected by gender-related bias. As limitations of this study, first, results apply to only young men and young women with a high social status and educational level, as drawn from the sample size. Also, it is difficult to interpret negative findings. In this study, negative findings represent no sex differences in error rate and response time within a relatively small sample size. Future studies should clarify whether gender effects and body language reading occur with other repertoires of actions and with other arrays of emotions. Future studies should also uncover sex differences in brain activity during body language reading. They should also shed light on sex differences in neuropsychiatric conditions characterized by impairments in social cognition, such as autism, depression, and schizophrenia. In fact, the study discusses that although there is some behavioral evidence that individuals with autism have difficulties in revealing information about emotions from point light body, it is unclear whether females and males with autism differ in body language reading. Lastly, future studies should explore the gender effects because it is still unknown for adults born prematurely. Adolescents who are born prematurely are likely to exhibit difficulties in visual social cognition. For this section, I'll be discussing how Sokolov's findings relate to several other readings. Based on popular mindset, while women possess soft skills and social perception, including high sensitivity to positive emotional signals and subtle details, men might outperform in recognition of negative expressions. The data of this study is controversial. In this study, males overperform in recognition of emotionally positive happy actions. This data disagree with Klein's findings showing that women perform better than men on an empathetic accuracy task. In contrast, this study claims the accuracy of feelings are influenced by gender effects. However, it is important to acknowledge that empathetic accuracy performance, as suggested by Klein colleagues, are the result of motivational difference. Perhaps men seek for positive emotional cues while the women seek for negative or neutral cues, which may have important evolutionary purposes. For example, for women, they might seek for neutral or negative reactions to care for the baby unresponsiveness or distress respectively, while men might try to seek positive reactions from possible mates. Another paper that I would like to discuss is Emotion through Locomotion, Gender Impact by Kruger. For this study, female and male observers had to visually recognize emotions through point-like human locomotion performed by female and male actors with different emotional expressions. In this case, the study showcased walking. They have found that males surpass females in recognition accuracy and readiness to respond to happy walking portrayed by female actors. Also, female exhibit a tendency to be better in recognition of hostile angry locomotion expressed by male actors. Therefore, this finding also rejects the widespread belief about female superiority in social cognition and also supports gender effects in recognition of human emotions from human actions. The last study I'd like to talk about is Production of Gender, a study on performativity in female to male transsexuals by Tenopriya and colleagues 2018. According to this study, within gender theory, performativity of gender can be traced from Boivard's construction, where one is not born a woman but rather becomes one. It suggests the constructive and performative nature of gender. In other words, when we identify with another gender, we start adapting body movements that might correspond to that gender despite our original biological sex. The study addresses the performative factors that contribute to the formation of a transsexual role as seen through mannerism and other aspects that influence a gender representation of self. The transition to trans men include the transformation of the body and corporeality to maintain congruity with its new identified gender. By relating back to Sokolov's findings, this brings the question whether the transition of body mannerism is also transferable to gender social cognition. Do female to male transsexuals are also better identify happy walking or knocking in comparison to heterosexual biological women? I'll be happy to discuss about it on the discussion board. Here are my references. Thank you so much for watching my presentation. Feel free to drop your questions and comments at the discussion board.